Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. As always, to the BB-Scho. I'm your host, Beebs. I'm here with my co-host, Chen. Chen, how you doing? It's
Howdy.
prediction. It's prediction Thursday.
Yeah, and it's always a good day. It's you always are in good spirits because nothing bad's happened yet. And
Exactly.
we had some differing picks last week and you know, turned out to be a bad idea. Hoping to kind of rebound a little bit this week.
Well, I mean, you,
Um,
you did go 10-5.
which is a good week for sure. But there was looking back some games I probably shouldn't have picked. I mean the Panthers one was just dumb luck and
Yeah,
also a
I was
bad
gonna say
call.
that's not a bad. Well,
They
yeah,
came out and said,
bad
former
call by
ref
the
came out and
ref.
said
Yeah,
that
I
it
thought you
should
meant
have been a
bad call by.
penalty.
I thought you meant bad call by you. I was
Oh
like,
no, no, no.
that was
Panthers
a
definitely
great
trending up.
pick.
Um,
And you had
but yeah, no.
your losers were the Jaguars, Panthers, Raiders, which nobody saw it being that bad. Giants were in that game, and then
Yeah.
Packers lost by 10. So I mean, it's not.
Yeah, that was kind of
Um,
a
we let's dive into the primetime recap of the week 8 games. We got Packers and Bills on Sunday night, and Bengals Browns on Monday night. We'll start with Sunday night. Diehard Packers fan, what's your takeaway here?
there was some positive things, but ultimately I'm not going to go on a big, you know, ordeal or rant. Just watching like the offense and whatever people can say, like it's a part of it is on Rodgers, but like I saw with the Bills, like he made some throws that like it kind of remind you of like, oh yeah, this is Aaron Rodgers, like this is why we have him. Um, our running game can still, I think, like it's all right.
Needs to be
I
used
wish,
more.
yeah, it needs to be just creative, utilized a little bit more. Because frankly, our interior line is just bad. Like it's,
Yeah.
I understand Elgin Jenkins wasn't there, but it's just been pretty bad. Zach Tom, probably a great human, but he's a tackle. I mean, there was multiple times at guard he was just getting run back right in Aaron Rodgers, and unfortunately, it seems this is the year where, I mean, you can tell me if I'm wrong. It feels like in years past when a guy would come free or get to Rodgers, like he could usually make the first guy miss and like escape, get outside. Feels like this year, if I see some guy coming at him, like that's a sack. Like he just kind of just goes down. And I get he's old, he's approaching 40, but that was
Oh,
just
I think that
takeaways
that
from the
that was
game.
a core staple of the last 10 years of Aaron Rodgers led offenses was essentially making something out of nothing and then having the chemistry with the wide receivers like Jordy Nelson, Devontae Adams to just basically play backyard football. And you
Right.
saw that on that touchdown where the guy on Sunday night, gosh, I can't remember his name. He just breaks off the
Torre,
yeah. Breaks
Torre.
off the post route just because he sees green grass and then like connects. Like that's where Aaron Rodgers has been successful for his entire career, is just making, you know, crap out of
Those type of
nothing.
throws, yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, the escapability and mobility has definitely been down this year, but I think part of that too is less time in general. So I think it goes both ways with the lack of O line play and old age, and
Yeah.
then lack of chemistry with the young wide receivers as well. But
Yeah, no. So definitely, I would say a mix of both is really the main issue because I don't know if basically, I mean, we're going to get into the trade deadline moves, but of the guys that got moved, I don't know if a receiver really solves all of our problems.
no,
Like
it
the
doesn't.
protection is still an issue, not running the ball enough is still an issue, and there's just defensively as well. It's been pretty ugly. I mean, our run defense is ranked like 26th. So with and again, given the personnel we have, it just shouldn't be that way. But yeah, and I don't have anything else really to add about the Packers. It was another like they show sparks, drives where it's like, oh, this is what we could be, and ultimately, like we're just not a good team this year. Buffalo was always in control of that game. Is a 10-point game may not tell you it. They were in control. I mean, it was out like 14-0 right from the jump. They could have probably poured it on more
No,
if
and this
needed.
is this is why the Packers needed to win their last couple games because their schedule now goes like Lions, Ravens,
Eagles are in there. The
Eagles are
Cowboys
in
are in
there,
there.
I think it's Lions, Ravens, Cowboys for the next 3 weeks. So
Yeah,
it's like
it's a brutal stretch,
barring a Rogers
and
miracle,
yeah,
the season is over. Um, I accepted this 3 weeks ago, so it's no news to me. But I did take the Packers to cover the 11.5 point spread, so I was happy about that.
yeah, no,
Um,
that's a good pick.
but yeah, Bills rolled. Packers, I have nothing positive to say, so we'll move on.
Yeah,
Um,
fair enough.
Bengals Browns. I believe the final was it a goose egg final? Was it?
Oh no, no, no. The Browns, or I'm sorry, Bengals, bro. I think he got like 13. He got some garbage time points, but for a long time it was 25-0
Yeah,
at one
that's what
point.
I
Like that game
remember.
was, it was a bad watch, man. I mean, if you're a Browns fan, I mean, good for you, but
This is what I don't understand. Okay, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna pull up these stats really quick, and then I'm gonna go on a Bengals rant because this is exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to Zach Taylor. Um, I don't. I actually don't even have that much to rant on. Okay,
they didn't have Jamar Chase. I feel like
it
that was a
doesn't.
big deal.
But he doesn't get the ball that much, anyways. Like it's such
Yeah.
bland play calling. They have poor O line play, a half decent quarterback play. Now you lose your explosive wide receiver. Your leading receiver for the game, I believe, was Tyler Boyd. Not even. No, it was Hurst had the most receptions. Actually, Mixon
Oh,
did. Mixon had the most receptions. Sorry. Then it was Hurst. Then it was Boyd and Higgins. And it's just like I have so many problems with their offense. There are times this year it has looked so bland. It is so like, oh, we're gonna line up in 2 by 2 sets, two receivers on this side, two receivers on that side, and yeah, we're just gonna hope our receivers win. And the 2.5 seconds we're gonna give Joe Burrow to throw the ball. No, we're not gonna
yeah.
motion guys. No, we're not gonna run off, unique unique sets. No, it's like they're running an offense from 2015, 2014. It's
Yeah.
so bad. It's so bad, so outdated. And it gets exposed when you play a team like Miles Garrett or a guy like Miles Garrett, who has a great day. And honestly, regardless of all this, it's shout out to the Browns because it was a dominating performance. And I had these
Agreed.
opinions on the Bengals going in, and I still picked the Bengals to win without Jamar Chase. So I don't know where this puts the Browns because it really doesn't change anything for me other than oh yeah, it was a division like they know their division opponent and they're gonna play good against them. So
Yeah.
I don't know. This doesn't change anything for the Browns. I think the Browns are still a bottom feeder team. I don't see them making the playoffs. Bengals, all this does is solidify my Baltimore for the division pick. So I feel good about that moving forward. But yeah, I've had enough of Zach Taylor, man. It's time to go. It's time to move on. That offense is too good on paper to look like this. It looks like a um, Mike Zimmer led Vikings offense with a way better quarterback
Fair, fair.
and
So more of a waste of
and
talent, really.
arguably better receivers.
Yeah. No, I could you could definitely make the argument. And no, it's unfortunate because now the Bengals are sitting at 4-4. I believe they do have a tougher schedule. Kind of just remaining. I mean, granted, the division they're in, it's always not easiest games. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, the rest of the way, that's gonna be a tough AFC playoff picture to sneak into this year. So
I think the
I don't
Bengals will be
know.
fine. Their next two games are Panthers and Steelers.
That
So
helps. Yeah, it really does help with the Steelers being the
that
Steelers
helps.
this
Then
year.
they go Titans, Chiefs, Browns, Bucks, Patriots, Bills, Ravens. I think that even if
See, that's an
this
interesting stretch. And
it's an
again,
interesting
losing a
stretch,
game like
and
the
with the
Browns,
Ravens in Week 18 is very interesting as well because who knows? I mean, that's going to be potentially a division championship there, which could
right?
be
No, that's gonna be a
a
big
win in
deal.
your in situation. But Yeah, I'm confident enough in the Bengals to beat. They should have won this game, but to beat the Steelers and to beat the Panthers without Jamar Chase, and we'll see from there. You know, they got a couple medium tier teams like the Patriots were in there, but I'm not
Right,
too
right.
worried about the Bengals. I don't think that they're Super Bowl favorites by any means, but you know
Oh
what? We
no,
said we
no.
said the same thing last year, so I
Yeah,
said this motto 100 times. Once you're in the playoffs, anything can happen. So that's kind of where I'm at regarding the Bengals. Packers, they need a miracle. Bills, keep doing what you're doing because you're the
yeah.
best team I've seen play in a long time. Well, maybe not a long time, but best
They're
team I've seen
good.
play this
They're
year.
good.
And yeah, the Browns, I'm just still confused because we know they're going to be competitive in almost every game, but like this was not competitive. This was dominant. And jury's still out on my opinion on the Browns. I don't think they can make the playoffs mathematically, but that doesn't mean that I don't think that they're good enough to be a playoff team. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
no, that does make sense.
This was their
It's
first real win, though. So,
yeah, if they're in the NFC, I think they have a better shot.
but think about this. Think about if they do that game against the Chargers and they're 4-4 now, and they hit that field goal because Brandon
Yeah.
Staley's an idiot. We could have a totally different thought process with the Browns right now.
Oh yeah, and
So
they could be 5-3 if they didn't blow it to the Jets in week 3 too. I mean, they've had some crazy
yeah,
fluky
they're
losses.
like the
So
Lions. Find ways
yeah,
to lose. Of course, they are the Browns, so the Lions are like the Browns actually.
they're
But
yeah, they're one and the same.
yeah. So let's do we want to pivot to some trade deadline talks
Yeah,
here?
there's definitely some interesting
This was
moves.
the so I've written down all the significant moves, and we can go one by one through them.
Hmm.
McCaffrey's not on the list. We already talked about him, but
Yeah,
uh, this was the most hectic. This was like an NBA deadline to me. Like
which was
this,
nice. It was really
I've
nice.
never remembered something like this in the NFL. It's always like there's a couple on here that's like, oh yeah, you see that, like the Jeff Wilson trade, or you know stuff like oh yeah, that kind of stuff usually happens around the deadline. But we'll start with this: Roquan Smith to Baltimore for a second and a fifth rounder. Um, what are your thoughts here?
Big move. I think that really that could actually go down as maybe the best move. If we're not talking about the Christian McCaffrey trade, I think personally, just as a player, it's not going to get better than that from the trades we've seen. Roquan Smith would definitely be the second fiddle, though. And I think that really just shores up the Ravens defense, which hasn't been super good this year. Which normally in years past, it's pretty solid and gives teams problems. And that's not really been the case this year as much. But I think that just shores up a lot of that uncertainty. He can play everything. He plays pass, he can play in, pass rushing and obviously run defense. And if they just give him a contract, I mean, he's going to be with this team 4 or 5 years. So they might have
I
got the next
think
Ray Lewis.
I think that I wouldn't go that far yet, but
Yeah.
I think that Chicago actually might be my biggest winner of the trade deadline,
Of the overall deadline, agreed, because I don't think
and it has nothing to do
Roquan
with
was
the
going to.
Claypool trade either. I actually hate that trade,
Yeah, no, it was definitely it was the latter moves of moving on from Roquan Smith because you knew he
and
wasn't coming
getting
back.
a fourth rounder
And
out of Robert Quinn as well.
right.
So
Yeah, that
Chicago
was
clearly sees the need to begin to restructure. I don't think Roquan Smith was going to resign. They
no.
see the need to begin to restructure and find some inter. I think they're going to run with Fields. I think that's very evident based off the last couple of weeks. He's
Oh
been
yeah,
playing. He's been playing pretty
Claypool
well.
trade for sure.
So I think that they're stacking up on picks to start to build around him, and then I would assume restructure the defense a little bit as well. If you're going to move Roquan Smith, you're going to have to. So
Yeah,
to get any value out of Robert Quinn at this point, he has like one sack on the year. Like good fourth rounder. That's solid. He's like 33. So I was happy with that. And then I'm indifferent on the Claypool trade. They took the second rounder from Baltimore and basically got Chase Claypool out of it. They got a year and a half of Claypool, so he's got 1 year left, and then this year on his rookie deal, and then you assess from there. From
right.
this, we can talk about it from the Steelers' perspective next, but What's your thought here with Claypool going to Chicago?
Well, this is kind of gonna help us determine a bit more of Justin Fields, how good he really is. I don't think like the Bears offense is dynamically going to get a crazy better, but I do think it really helps them getting Chase Claypool. Granted, I would say it's a bit of an overpay considering he was drafted in the second round. And I mean, the talent is there. The idea that he can be, a solid, he's 6'4", he can block pretty well. He's got really good speed for the size. You're hoping that he's something special, but I think ultimately his value is probably at like a fourth or a fifth, in my opinion. I mean, just granted, like,
I would have liked to see a
um,
third, but I mean,
yeah, like
from what I've
two
heard, there
just is a
were
little high.
so from this perspective though, no other receivers were moved outside of like Kadarius Toney and Calvin Ridley. So no other receivers were moved. The Bears, I don't see the need to make this trade. Honestly, I would have rather them held the second and picked a receiver next year in the second round because
Agreed. Yeah, that was kind
I
of a
think
waste of a
that's a.
pick for them.
But um, I don't hate it either because other teams were involved, and I know the Packers had the exact same offer on the table of a second rounder, and the Steelers just figured that the Bears pick was going to come first.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't know. I think they overpaid, but they won. They got the guy they wanted. It wasn't even their second round pick that they moved. They still have a second round pick. So in a sense, they got him for a fifth rounder. Well, they
Yeah,
got in a sense they traded Roquan Smith for Claypool and a fifth rounder, which is
that's solid.
it's 50-50 in my opinion. Yeah, like I don't know.
Solid.
Um, I think they're the biggest winner just because to me it seems like they're figuring out what they need to do and they're taking steps toward it. Like they clearly have a plan, in my opinion,
Yeah.
at this point.
Well, and if you're gonna lose, like you're losing someone in free agency, it's a
Yeah,
lot better to get
yeah.
compensation
I mean,
for it.
Roquan had
And
already
whether people
requested a
are,
trade, and
yeah, you could say his value is at like a first or whatnot, but this is what the market was. I'm assuming they just took the best offer on the table, and it was made on like they were probably searching for a trade all season. I mean, this was probably the best offer at the last possible second. So you can say all they want, but I agree with you in the fact that they're committing to this rebuild. They have the most cap room going into this free agency by far. So it's going to be a completely different team next year. And if they tool around Fields correctly, they add some more pieces to that defense. Who knows? But
yeah,
ultimately, it's the Bears, and history is not on their side, if we're going to be frank here.
that is true.
See Allen Robinson, Khalil Mack, etc., etc.
Well, you can go
Um,
back a lot farther than
I
that.
can go a lot farther, but I'll keep that talk short. We can move on to the
Yeah.
next moves you got on the list because there was a couple more that were major, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
So this is the one that came out of left field to me. I truly do not see the incentive to trade this guy still. TJ
Mm,
Hawkinson to Minnesota for a second and third round pick, and then
yeah,
two more conditional picks. So four picks for TJ Hawkinson. I really see no. I love it from Minnesota's perspective. Like Irv Smith just went down. You make an upgrade. Who are they realistically going to draft in those slots? That's going to drastically improve their roster the way that TJ Hawkinson would.
right.
Um, other than probably defense, but from Minnesota's perspective, I like it. I love it. From Detroit's perspective, I have no idea why they did this.
I actually have a different viewpoint, and you can disagree, but from just my perspective, you could go the route of okay, it's TJ Hawkinson. He's clearly a great tight end that's young. Why you would move on from him? Well, there's no guarantee he's going to resign. I don't know what his contract
So
situation
they just
is.
they just exercised his fifth year option and then traded him
Right. So that means he would have finished out this year and then played
next.
on 1 year next year.
Yeah, next year's the fifth year.
So exactly. It's like that to me is kind of like the Claypool situation. Like I know Claypool is way less talented and less proven, but if you don't think a guy's going to stay with you, move on from him. And I don't know if that's really the case. TJ Hawkinson has been very public about the situation, but I would say getting 4 picks for the Lions, like just where they're at, I don't think
Yeah, I think they're
they're
clearly
they need that
saying
all to go to their defense.
we
Like
need
they got
more.
to just improve the rest of the roster. They just got to hope that they make the picks worth the value of TJ Hawkinson. I think it's possible. And I also think that Jameson Williams coming back next year to help that passing attack is probably in their mind as well.
It's a good
But,
point too. It's a good
you
point
know,
too.
it's
And
it,
from the
it
other perspective, when's Justin Jefferson up for off his rookie deal? Next year or the year after that, probably. So it's like, I
mm,
think, and Thielen's on a big deal right now. So I think in the back of their head, they're thinking probably going to have to either give Thielen a much smaller deal or move on from him, give that money to Hawkinson, and somehow manufacture a way to pay for Justin Jefferson.
yeah,
In that process, I don't know how they would do that, and I don't know how much cap space they have either. Maybe they've already been doing that, but
right.
um, yeah,
I think it just
I
made
don't know.
sense for both sides. I do say it was out of left field because this was not talked about, and it seemed like even everybody in the organization liked T.J. Hawkinson, like just from watching Hard Knocks and whatnot. So I was definitely surprised, but I would say the return is, I mean, 4 picks for a tight end is anyway you slice that's really good. I
Yeah,
mean,
I would
considering
agree.
like Roquan Smith, I feel like is a better player and Chicago didn't get anywhere near that return. So that's the only reason why I'm looking at it is
Well,
like,
I just don't
yeah,
understand
it's
why
a
you would do
big,
that in the division though, as well.
yeah, that might have been the best offer. It might have been Minnesota panicking with Irv Smith going down, wanting to go all in on this season, being their 6-1, and
I hope
saying,
that's
hey, yeah,
what
let's make an
Minnesota's.
upgrade.
I hope that's what Minnesota's where their
I
heads
think
at.
that's got to be the mindset for them. It has to be. That's the only reason why you give up 4 picks because if this doesn't work out, you just kind of cost not only yourself some picks, but like you mentioned, they got big contracts coming up, and you're gonna need some of those mid-round picks to fill out roster slots. That's just the business. So we'll see. I mean, granted, we'll see if they
Yeah,
lose to Philly in the conference championship. Like they lost this trade. You could really say that,
yeah.
just
I think
depending
it's a
on how
2 year. I
Hawkinson
think it's a two
performs.
year window with Hawkinson's contract. We'll see. What they're
Oh
able
yeah,
to
if they don't
do.
re-sign him, that's a big whiff.
What they're able to do. I would assume they're going to be able to re-sign him. But then the
Yeah.
question becomes, can they maintain Jefferson and Cook on that offense as well? And that's where you
hmm
know and that's
And
where you
Kirk's
start.
probably gonna be due soon. Like they got a lot of
Yeah,
people to pay.
yeah.
A lot of people.
Next up on
But
the list, though, to move on is Naheem Hines goes to Buffalo and Zach Moss goes to Indianapolis. This was basically just a clean swap of backup running backs. Buffalo, the Zach Moss, they clearly don't like him. They're looking for a way. I think that they gave um, Indy some picks to take Zach Moss because I think so. I wouldn't. It was a late. It was if it was a day three pick.
yeah,
But I don't really have much to say here. Buffalo has not liked Zach Moss. Clearly, they're looking a way to find Devin Singletary some backup. And I
they've
don't.
been utilizing James Cook too. Like that's why for me, I feel like it's such a lateral move for both sides.
Yeah,
Like it was like the almost to me like the no really win trade of the day. It's like, yeah,
yeah.
you got rid of a guy
No,
you
the
don't
winner. The
use
winner
to.
here is Naheem Hines.
He's
I
out
mean,
from behind Jonathan Taylor, but it's just a matter of
well, I'm just saying
is Buffalo.
he went from Indy to a Super Bowl favorite.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's very true as well.
I mean, hey,
That's probably the biggest thing.
so
But overall, it's like, all right, do what you wish. Colts, they did get a pick. You're saying it was late. I mean, their season's already kind of looking south.
no, they look to be
So
entering a rebuild.
yeah,
Um,
so that pick helps them, no doubt.
so next up, this is probably the second biggest name, second or third, depending on how you feel about Hawkinson. But Chase
Yeah,
Edmonds, a first and a fourth rounder to Denver for Bradley Chubb and a fifth rounder.
aggressive is kind of the word. Um, I don't think Bradley Chubb is worth like he's good, like a first rounder. Like you are kind of banking that your team's going like
I
far.
think
It's like with
that
the Minnesota
I
situation.
think
Like
that Miami is going all in before they have to pay Tua and Jalen Waddle.
yeah, right. It's almost like they're trying to be the Bengals of this year, and it might pan out that way. Just the
I
way their
like it
offense
better
is
than
playing.
Minnesota.
Yeah, no, I love it. And hey, if it works out for them, like they get that championship, that first round pick loss is who cares? But
Yeah.
you don't,
I don't
and
know.
they just signed Bradley Chubb to a major extension. Like that's another guy you mentioned the contract's coming up. You also just handicapped yourself a bit with that contract. So we will see. I can't really grade this trade accurately right now. It's just more of a wait and see.
How about from Denver's perspective? I kind of like it. Although I'll say this, the one thing that they got going for them good right now is their defense. And now they're
Yeah,
trading off a core of it. Probably the best, I mean, definitely their best pass rusher. So it's like, why
they
are
can
you,
blame the Russell
why are,
Wilson trade
yeah, but why are you messing up your defense to fix this
because
offense?
they weren't going to be able to pay him. I think that's the biggest thing. I think they paid Russ, realized, oh no, like we're not gonna be able to pay. We're not. You can't. I don't think they could have came up with that contract the Dolphins gave him. I just don't. And unfortunately for them, this is the consequence of their actions. They're probably gonna have to use that first round either to replace Bradley Chubb or get somebody else on their offense. But either way, I think it is a good move for Denver because they need the pick at this point. It's already kind of looks like a lost season.
Yeah, I think
They're
Chase
probably going to
Edmonds
need a
is
new
a decent
coach.
fit as well.
Yeah, and you trade to use the guy, but at the same time, it's
They
such a crowded
clearly,
backfield.
yeah, but they clearly don't like
Melvin Gordon.
Melvin
Yeah,
Gordon and
no, they don't like
Latavius
him. And
Murray's their next
Latavius
best
Murray's,
option. Like,
yeah, Chase Edmonds could become the lead back, but I think I even saw Hack came out and said that uh, for now, Melvin Gordon and Latavius Murray would be the like starting 1-2 backs, but then Edmonds was the third down guy. And it's like, all right, well, thanks for telling people the game plan that everyone kind of
that's
saw.
not
But
true. There's
yeah, I think Edmonds
they
is going to
don't
be
like
used a
Melvin
little bit more
Gordon.
than that.
They don't like Melvin Gordon. They're not re-signing him after this year. I don't know why they re-signed him this year, actually, but
Yeah, that was yeah. Having Javante Williams, like it was kind of interesting.
yeah.
I would agree.
So then, to replace what am I saying here? To replace Chase Edmonds, Miami goes and trades for Jeff Wilson by giving him a fifth rounder.
Yeah, which is
I think that's a
I kind
great. This
of
is one of my favorite trades here,
right. It's kind of
honestly.
both. Like the 49ers weren't going to use him. So for them, it's like, yeah, we recoup a pick that
We
I,
gave up
I don't
for
think they gave up.
McCaffrey.
Yeah, like you're getting, something. And Mike McDaniel coached Jeff Wilson. Like if anyone's going to know how to utilize him, it's him. They're again going all in on this season, and all you had to do is get a fifth round pick to definitely get better. Like Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson, that's a nice 1-2 punch. Having Tyreek, there's so many guys that can throw in motion.
Yeah,
Yeah, like it makes that offense unique, something that a lot of teams just aren't gonna have film on, and that's why it makes them dangerous. So I'd agree with you. I'd love it. I think it's one of those trades that even if it doesn't work out, they only gave up a fifth. It's not very
yeah.
detrimental to what the Dolphins are trying to
A
do.
fifth for a running back by committee,
Yeah.
piece. So
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Um,
Great move.
Here's another interesting one. James Robinson to the Jets. I need to look up what they gave up for this.
It was, I believe it was
I believe it
not
was
a
a
lot.
fourth rounder.
Yeah. Like pretty good value for the Jags, considering I'm pretty sure they got him in the sixth round. But I would say that's like a fair assessment of
It's
his
a
value.
conditional third or fourth rounder, basically. So
Yeah, probably depending on how much they utilize him and whatnot. So
yeah,
that's overall, I think that's valid. I mean, he's a solid running back.
I
I could say maybe a 4 or 5, but
I don't know
you
if
know,
I understand it from the Jaguars' perspective. They got value out of him. They upgraded him. He was actually undrafted. He wasn't even a six-round pick,
Oh
and
wow, yeah,
so they got a pick out of this guy who's been really good for them, and they've got their guy in ETN. From the Jets' perspective, they're like reloading for this year to help cover their loss of Brees Hall. But
yeah.
are they considering themselves contenders then? Like, is that where their heads at? Because I don't think that they are in a place where that's what they need to be
Likely,
doing. Like,
right. But
I don't.
at I think 5-3, and I think they're even 5-2 going into last week. They just might be a little delusional up there right now. They might see a lot of teams at 4-4, same record as them, think, I know we might be able to make a run. And all right, you know what I mean?
I
And
would
again, I
have
don't think they're
waited. I mean, it's only one pick, so it's not that big a
right. It's
deal.
not
And
the
then
end of the world, but
you have him
yeah,
next year as well as a third or second option behind Brees Hall. So I'm very
yeah,
interested to see how that plays out in 2023 because you still do have Michael Carter, who I think is a solid backup running back. So
for sure.
I don't know. This one confused me a little bit from the Jets' perspective, other than a need filling a need right now. So unless they're going to flip him at the end of the year or flip Michael Carter at the end of the year,
Yeah,
um, I don't see much of a need for a three-headed backfield. Two-headed, I think, is already enough. But especially when you got a guy like Brees Hall, like you want him on the field. So
right.
fills the need
Yeah,
now. It confuses me. The long, it feels a little short-sighted. That's what I'll
no
say.
doubt. Yeah, because yeah, next year they're gonna have to make a decision, and ultimately the pick they used on either Michael Carter, James Robinson, that's gonna be lost.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, a little
Final
puzzling.
trade we have to discuss. This is one of my probably my second favorite outside of the Jeff Wilson one. Calvin Ridley to Jacksonville for a fifth rounder in 23 and a
Mm,
second rounder in 24.
yeah, very under the radar, and that Jacksonville 24 second rounder is slick. They didn't want to give it up this year because they knew it would be worth something. But next year, because Calvin Ridley will be back,
Could be a
that
third
pick
rounder,
is
basically,
right.
or a
Yeah, it's
late
definitely gonna
second.
fall in value given their
And
projections.
this
So
fills their biggest need as well.
I would agree. It definitely helps them out in the aspect of now you got Kirk, Ridley, Evan Ingram. It's solid units. Could even may improve a bit if you want to in the draft.
And
But
then ETN.
right, having yeah ETN back
I
there
mean,
can
they're
do a
starting to
mix of
build
both.
something down in Jacksonville that's
Oh yeah, they just need Trevor
I'm
Lawrence to
becoming
finish in the
yeah.
fourth quarter.
That's really it. That's all that's missing is him to take the
Yeah,
one last step he needs to take.
yes,
From
sir.
Atlanta's perspective, I like it. If you don't want this guy to play for you again after what happens, and he's not a part of your future, they're in a rebuild. I think he's 27, 28.
Yeah,
Um, just get rid of him. Got decent value out of him. I'm a second and a fifth is not bad. So I like
yeah.
it from
No, I would agree.
both perspectives, but I love it from Jacksonville. Um,
Yeah,
this is a long sighted trade, in my opinion. This is like, okay, we're probably not there this year. This has been our biggest lack so far. Let's see how cheap they'll go for him.
yeah.
I think it's a good deal. And they got it, like you said, in 24. So, yeah,
It's a good
I'm a
move.
fan. I'm a fan. That kind of wraps up our discussion on this trade deadline. I know you wanted to have some discussion over the 2021 QB class. You had said that it isn't as bad as 2013. I'm definitely not ready to say that yet after going back and looking at the 2013 draft class. But
Yeah, it's pretty bad. I mean, Geno Smith is saving it a bit, but it is
it's yeah,
not
Geno Smith. There were
good.
names on there that were blasts from the past. Geno Smith, Matt Barkley, EJ
EJ Manuel,
Manuel,
yeah,
some crazy names.
yeah, it's not that bad. But I did want to touch on the fact that it seems like so far, due to performance, like Justin Fields like has been the best in my eyes, given what he's had. Because Trevor Lawrence this year has kind of been the reason they've been losing games a bit. Like his
I would
QBR in the
disagree.
fourth quarter is 53. Like he's been kind of just choking, and it's like with the weapons and team and Doug Peterson, like he should be able to kind of finish things. I think he's just getting a longer leash because he's on the Jags, and the Bears are a bigger market. They just hate. I feel like they're kind of like Philly, like they can really just hate on their team, you know. And
I disagree.
so,
I think there's a little recency bias in the Justin Fields thing. I mean, outside of the last 2 3 weeks, he would have been your graded worst quarterback from that class.
Zach Wilson's been kind of bad every
Okay, that's
week in
fair.
my eyes.
I am not a
I
Zach
don't. I
Wilson.
can't put him above Justin Fields, and Mac Jones has definitely already regressed, like from past season, which he was fine. Like he's definitely good for a rookie, but to be regressing in year two is not ideal to see, and already have kind of quarterback controversy is bizarre. But
I am
um,
not. I don't know. I'm not out on Mac Jones yet. We've seen him be a good quarterback. He was good
yeah,
last
I'm
year.
not out, but
He's got
it's
a fine.
concerning. I would have to
I'm
say that
definitely
not
not
like
out on
not
Trevor Lawrence either.
like no not one of these guys is really standing out this year. It's like kind of
Well,
eh,
it stinks too because you had Lance go down. You still haven't seen him. He's going to be going into year 3. That'll be the first time we
right.
really that'll be his essentially rookie year in a
Yeah.
sense. And he hasn't played football since 2019. And it's like, okay, it's going to be 2023. That's 4 years since this guy's played
Oh,
a full
jeez.
season, and that doesn't look promising. Lawrence, I think, still has the highest ceiling, as we would have said way back when.
Yeah,
And
just
Wilson,
like
I
to see
agree.
more.
Wilson, I agree. I'm out on Russell Wilson. I'm or not Russell
Uh,
Wilson. Well, I am out on Russell Wilson,
both
but
Wilsons.
Zach Wilson.
Both
Um,
Wilsons stink.
he just he's not it. They'd be better off
Yeah.
to move on as soon as possible. They just missed, man. And I said this back then. I said, why are they even drafting him? What's the jump from Sam Darnold to Zach Wilson? It was a very
Yeah,
Jets esque decision, in my opinion, to do that.
I'd
And
agree. Dudes that both had big arms, turnover problems,
and
and
I'm not the biggest fan of Fields still either. I think he's been playing good, but
yeah,
I would pump the brakes a little bit. But yeah,
yeah. We'll
it's not
see. We'll
looking
see if the
good.
Claypool thing does anything.
It's not looking good across the QB class, but it's definitely not 2013 bad. Come on now.
Yeah, no, it's just a talking point and just to shine some light on, which I think at the time a lot of people thought this was gonna be a great class. We're gonna have studs all the way. To it's like, well, it's hopefully one of these guys turns out. I mean, that's
I
kind of
mean,
what odds wise, what's going to happen is one of these guys is going to be an elite QB. One's probably going to be middle of the road, and the rest are probably just going to fall out of the NFL or be backups.
here's the top 8 quarterbacks according to NFL.com from the 2013 draft class: Tyler Bray, EJ Manuel, Ryan Nassib, Matt Barkley, Mike Glennon, Zach Dysert, Geno Smith, and Tyler Wilson. I'm going to be brutally honest. I've only ever heard of EJ Manuel, Matt Barkley, Mike Glennon, and Geno Smith. That's it.
That's a fair point. And again, I understand it's a bit of an overreaction, but it was more just to shine some light on. I mean, classes, it looks bad. It's
To
looked
be
very, very
fair,
bad.
comparative to 21, um, EJ Manuel is the only first round pick. There were like 5, I believe, in 2021,
Right. Which is
which
kind of
was
makes it a bit
which was
worse.
ridiculous. Even then, I even said I was like, "This is insane." Like
Yeah.
quarterbacks are flying off the board. EJ Manuel was round 1. Geno Smith was round 2. Glennon round 3. Who actually has had a solid career as a backup quarterback, which for a third round pick, you can't complain. I'm not.
It's solid,
You
yeah.
want more, but it's
He had
a
some decent moments with Buccaneers.
third round quarterback. Yeah, Matt Barkley, 4th round pick. He was terrible. Ryan Nassib, never heard of him. 4th round. Landry Jones in the 4th round. Like, who are these?
Steelers.
Tyler Wilson was in the 4th round. The 7th round was Brad Sorensen, Zach Dyser, B.J. Daniels, and Sean Renfrey. I mean, those are seventh round quarterbacks. Those are shots in the dark. So
Right.
I think the expectations are what's making might be end up the high expectations might end up being the biggest knock on the 21 draft class. If
For
none of
sure.
them pan out to be a superstar, even if you have a couple like because like it's not like Trevor Lawrence is going to be out of the league in the next 2 years. Like that's
Oh, I
not
disagree. I don't think it's gonna be him or Fields. I'm saying the other guys are
Wilson
already
might
on
be.
they're already
Wilson
on the
might be.
bubble.
Lance
Yeah.
Lance won't be because he hasn't played enough. They're not going to just. I think they're stuck
I'm
in the
saying
sense that
backups like won't reach starter potential. Like I'm
yeah, I
saying
would agree
just
with that.
logistically.
I think Mac Jones is a better quarterback than any guy in that draft class, except for Geno Smith at this point.
That's a fair point. I can give you
So
that. Yeah, Geno Smith boosting the value of the draft class.
yeah,
Had a
he's
boy.
saving them, man, saving them. But we can move on. We can pivot. Do we want to pivot into our Week 9 predictions, or do we want
Yeah,
to
I
pick?
mean,
We go fantasy
we
frenzy first too.
I was gonna say, yeah, we gotta. I think are we already getting? Yeah, we're getting close to an hour. So I think maybe run through Fantasy Frenzy,
All
and
right,
then some of the matchups this week are a little predictable with predictions, so we
this
can
is true.
make it a little quick for you guys.
This
But
is
yeah,
true. All right, we'll do a quick rundown of the guys who aren't available. For those of you, this is your first time listening. Fantasy Frenzy is a weekly contest that we do. We try and pick the best fantasy team possible, basically. But the catch is none of us can pick a guy that we picked the previous week. So last week, you won again, extended your win streak to 4 games in a row. You won 164 to 154. Another small margin of victory. I believe in week 7 you won by less than that. Oh no, you won by more. Maybe it was week 6, but guys, we cannot pick this week. Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, Joe Mixon, McCaffrey, ETN, Taylor, Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, Higgins, Cup, Andrews, Ertz, Brown, Diggs, Cade York, Graham Gano, the Niners, and Eagles defenses. And as a quick refresher to see where we're at in the season long awards for this, because it is also a season long contest. You are 4-1 with 776 total points, and I am 1-4 with 756 total points.
mm,
So an 80-point
yeah,
lead
total
has now
score is
been,
quick.
yeah. It's
Yeah,
getting kind of
close. Yeah,
close with the total score, despite the disparity in the wins, which is very frustrating, I might add. But
yeah,
with all that being said, I do have the first pick this week because I lost last week, and I'm going to take Travis Kelsey.
yeah. Smart move. Very smart move. Yeah, I really just gotta hope he busts because if Mark Andrews off the board, this becomes dicey at tight end already. That's no doubt. Um, but I guess that being said, nah, I'm definitely not gonna go tight end here. I'll uh I'll go with Alvin Kamara. The running backs this week are gonna be a little interesting. Um, I just think personally that Mike Thomas is out for the year. Andy Dalton's great and all. I think it just Kamara's due at the end of the day. That's kind of sometimes how I go with these picks. It's like this guy he had 6 touchdowns like 2 or 3 years ago in a game. Like Alvin Kamara is still a really good player, and yeah, I think he's just gonna pop off. I really hope he does.
Yeah, I think that's a solid pick. Um, Running backs are a little dicey this week because of the guys we picked last week. There's not a lot of
Right,
great
took a
names
lot of
out
the good ones
there.
off the board for sure.
Um, but the Titans are playing a very poor Kansas City run defense, and this guy's been rolling for you lately. And I think it's my turn to get a little slice of the Derrick Henry pie. So I'm going to grab
Yeah,
Derrick Henry here and not hesitate at all.
yeah, that's solid pick. And I'm just gonna keep knocking out the running backs because this is one I'm just not gonna pass up. I can't because Aaron Jones has been great all year.
Yeah, yeah, he was on
Yeah,
my list.
if there's a game that he is gonna get his like 20 touches because he's just gonna not stop getting yards, it's against the Lions this year. That defense is very bad. I am just all in that this dude is just he should have a monster day. And if he doesn't, I'll probably lose. I'm just saying, just the way this is looking. I mean, you already got
uh,
you got the Travis Kelsey leg up, and I just have a feeling my tight end is gonna bust the guy I have lined up because he is a boomer bust. But we're going with it. I really like Aaron Jones this week.
that's a solid pick. I had him on my running back list. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
the guy I'm gonna grab. So I'm gonna go wide receiver here because now I got the first pick at the wide receiver. Neither one of us have one yet, and as scarce as RBs are this week, wide receivers aren't much better. In
I would
fact,
agree.
the list of names down the ESPN list of highest projected reads Tyreek Hill, Cooper Kupp, Stephon Diggs, Justin Jefferson, AJ Brown, all of which who are not
All
available.
used. Yeah.
So the next name is Devonte Adams, and I'm just going to secure a superstar here. He's coming off a bad week. He's got an average matchup against the Jacksonville defense. I think he's due. So I'm just going to leave it at that. He's a star. He's not gonna bust 2 weeks in a row that badly.
So yeah, and I'd agree. There's no way. I mean, one catch for 3 yards. He's gonna do something of probably great volume this week. I'm expecting a 100-yard day, and I would agree that receivers are scarce. So I want to grab this guy before he's gone. DeAndre Hopkins
Dang it!
is, yeah. I
Should have gone there
really need
first.
needed to make sure I get him locked in there. It's glad to see him back. They play against Seattle. I think that game could, end up in a shootout. And I love the idea of just, yeah, DeAndre Hopkins at the wide receiver one. I'll take it.
I'm gonna grab my wide receiver 2 here.
Yeah. Who are you taking? This is
Little bit
interesting.
risky
Yeah.
play. Okay, this is where things get very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know what? I'm gonna change my mind. I think that this guy. I'm gonna grab the guy I really want more than that. I think you might take based off that reaction. We'll see. We'll see if I'm right. I thought I could get him with the last pick, but I don't know if I'm gonna be able to.
Huh.
And I think that this other guy will be there. I can find a better flex, I guess is what I'll say.
Okay. Okay.
But
Yeah.
I'm gonna take Joshua Palmer from the Chargers.
Wow.
Mike Williams is out and Keenan Allen is out,
Oh, wow.
and somebody's going to catch the ball. So yeah, that's what
Mm.
I have. That's what I have for that. If I can get the guy I was going to get on my next pick, then I'll be really happy because I originally was going to take somebody else as my wide receiver too. But we'll see here in about a minute.
Yeah.
Oh, and
very
and and throw
interesting.
in that Joshua Palmer is playing the 32nd ranked Atlanta passing defense
Which, yeah, I did not know. That's
with
definitely
no um,
nobody
Mike
in front
Williams
of
or
him.
Keenan Allen. Yeah,
Really, yeah. Opportunity should be there. And yeah, based on that alone, I think he's definitely at least got a floor that should get you some points. Um, I will lock out my flex here. And I know you say Devontae Adams is due, which I would agree with. But the guy who's just been reliable all year is
God
Josh
dang it.
Jacobs.
He took my
Yeah.
RB2.
I wanted to get him locked in. I think if Kamara, Aaron Jones, Josh Jacobs, that could all three of those guys could pop off, and that would really help me out this week. So, yeah,
Good pick. I should have. I reached on Palmer, but I reached on AJ Brown last week, and
that panned out for you.
it panned
It
out.
really
So,
did.
and I got the flex that I wanted anyways. So I'm going to take Chris Olave. Um,
Okay,
no
okay.
Mike Thomas. Don't see much else in the receiver department anywhere else, and I don't see it's worse in the running back department. But Baltimore is the 29th ranked pass defense, and Olave's been solid, and he's healthy finally. No limitations in practice, no nothing, and yeah, I think his floor is 15 points, which is solid for a flex spot.
No doubt. Yeah, no, it'll definitely get the job done. Um, just due to game flow, and this guy is a talent. I'm gonna take Amon-Ra St. Brown as my wide receiver too. I think he's kind of due as well. He started off the season really strong. TJ Hawkinson is now gone.
Solid
So
pick.
just naturally, he's going to get the ball more. And playing against Packers, I'm assuming we should just based on what I saw last week, if we can kind of keep things rolling. The Bills' defense is so much better than the Lions. So if we don't score, close to 30 on Sunday, I would be a little disappointed. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, and that is precisely why I'm going to grab my quarterback and I'm going to take Aaron Rodgers. First week without a hookup in a
Whoa.
while, but
Wow.
yeah, anybody playing the Lions defense that is a compatible thrower of the football or competent thrower of the football is worth heavy consideration. And when it's an all-time great, due for a win and due for a big game, I'm going to take it. So, taking Rodgers.
Okay. Yeah. And on that note, I'm just going to go with a lot of people can refer to as Rodgers 2.0 and the Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
If Travis Kelce has a good day, so is my quarterback. So kind of just banking on that.
Yeah. Um, so that leaves me with the RB2. But considering you're locked out, I'm just going to be. I'm going to do my classic move here and just pick the RB2 last. So
Yeah,
I'm
fair
going to
enough.
grab my defense and let me make sure I get this right here. Yeah. So I've had a lot of success picking against the Rams, and I'm heavily considering the Bucks this week. However, I think I'm going to play this week a little more conservative because I'm not sure if I trust the Bucks offense to not give the Rams the ball on the
Hmm.
5 yard line a bunch of times. So I'm going to take the number one ranked defense in the league in terms of fantasy. They play the Jets this week, division rival. They know what they're doing. I'm going to take the Bills. Safe pick. They're really good. No Brees Hall. The Jets offense is lacking explosion, and I do not trust Zach Wilson to put up a masterful performance against a Buffalo defense.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
that's definitely a long shot. Um, I'm going to take Gerald Everett, tight end here.
I talked you into that. I saw you doing that. As soon as I started hyping up the Atlanta.
Yeah, I heard Keenan Allen and Mike Williams done, and I was like, okay, I know who my tight end is now. And yeah, that's basically my explanation.
Yeah, I
Really
got
nothing else.
scared that
Target's got to go
I literally
somewhere.
got scared that you knew um,
Oh,
about
I
the
know.
Joshua Palmer pick and I reached. So if I lose,
Oh,
it's
oh, the
because of that.
Palmer. Yeah, the Palmer. I was not gonna.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
if Josh
I'm
Jacobs
not
is the
that bold.
difference, of course, I do have Devontae, so I don't know if I would have wanted to double up on Raiders, but if Gerald Everett's the difference, I know who to blame. I'm going to grab Justin Tucker, second best kicker of all time.
Nice,
That's
nice.
all I
Yeah.
really need to say.
Yeah. Defensively, I have the Bengals written down. Not
Solid pick.
Yeah. I mean, it's just matchup preference. It's really all I got for that one. Uh, I know you got a running back too as your last pick.
Yeah,
That's
I
an
know,
interesting,
and I'm
but
trying
honestly,
to
the way this
decide
goes, that
where
makes
I want to
sense.
take this.
Uh,
Um, am I really going to pick this guy? I hate picking Thursday night football guys.
oh yeah, but
Oh,
it's a reasonable it's a
I
reasonable
know it
guy, man.
is. I know it is. Um, yeah, I'm taking Miles Sanders. I have him written down. I'm going to trust my gut. So,
Oh, see, I thought he was gonna be Damian Pierce,
no,
but yeah,
he's
Miles Sanders is very good. Yeah.
Pierce is available actually, but he gets too much of a workload to pick on a Thursday night. Sanders only had 9 carries last week, and Houston's the 32nd ranked rushing defense. So,
Oh yeah, that's
basically
big.
hoping for a touchdown tonight. That's kind of where I'm at with that one, which is probably likely.
Gotcha.
So,
Yeah, yeah. No, I'll wrap it up here with my kicker pick, and that will be Young Wei Koo, the
Young
Falcons
Way.
kicker. I think ultimately Chargers defense has been on and off, but they could hopefully hold the Falcons in some sort of field goal situations. Young Wei's been pretty solid, so that's the logic between that one,
Solid
behind
pick.
that one.
That's
Excuse me.
quick. A quick rundown of our teams. I have Rodgers, Henry, Sanders, Adams, Palmer, Kelsey, Olave, Tucker, and the Bills defense. You have Mahomes, Kamara, Jones, Hopkins, St. Brown, Everett, Jacobs, Koo, and the Bengals. And yeah, as always, you guys know me. I try to take the under the radar picks like Joshua Palmer. Probably a little too early today, but I liked Amon-Ra St. Brown this week, but I have trust in Jair Alexander. So
Oh, fair,
we
fair enough.
we we will see how this matchup goes, but banking on a big game from Kelsey. So
Yeah.
that'll wrap up our fantasy frenzy for this week. We can move into Let's move into our picks for Week 9 slate. We both did pick the Eagles tonight on our Tuesday podcast.
Oh
Don't
yeah.
think anybody's surprised by that. But
Nope. 14-point favorites.
first game of the noon window, Indianapolis at New England.
Yeah, I hate everything about the Colts going in there with Sam Ellinger. Uh, Patriots all the way.
I have to agree. And for that reason, I will be taking the Patriots as well. I don't really have much
Yeah.
else to say.
It was
Pains me
just
to
what they
pick it.
did with Zach Wilson last week. They
Yeah,
they that's what they do to the young guys.
pains me to pick against my Super Bowl favorite, but yeah,
It's got to
gotta
be done.
gotta be done. Next game of the new window is Packers in Detroit. I think you know who I'm gonna pick here, and I think I know who you're gonna pick here. Um,
I mean, I'm always gonna roll with the Packers. I know you said you wouldn't, but yeah, if you really like Detroit and Lambeau.
I am a man of my word, and it's in Detroit.
Oh, geez.
It's in Detroit.
Okay.
I'm a man of my word,
Okay.
so I don't care if I take the loss here. I'm a man of spite. So uh,
Jeez, I can respect it. I really can.
I said I wasn't picking him again for the rest of the year, and I am sticking to it.
Fair enough.
Except when they play Chicago, and then I'll consider it.
Yeah.
But moving forward, I'm interested to see what you have for this one. Okay, this one's a little interesting. Chargers in Atlanta.
Chargers all the way.
Really?
I looked at this one and yeah, I am committed to the fact that the Chargers are going to prove why they're just. I understand the injuries, I do, but having Eckler, Joshua Palmer still fine, Everett's good. That defense should really step up because the Falcons they run the ball. I mean, they do it well, but
Why did
like
I not pick Austin Eckler?
I was not sure what his injury status was. That's kind of why I stayed away. I really am terrified of getting a 0 in fantasy frenzy.
Oh yeah, it must be
So
so terrifying. It's only happened
uh
twice to me.
yeah, that's so I don't want it to happen at all. So yeah, stay away from him, but ultimately he should play. He's got a questionable designation, but it was like a late pop up. I think he'll be fine. And Justin Herbert he's due as well. Justin Herbert, like he's capable of having like a multi-touchdown. This is why he's, comparable to the greats
So
performance.
okay, I I may love Joshua Palmer's fantasy outlook for this game. That does not take away from the fact that no Mike Williams and no Keenan Allen going into Atlanta to an Atlanta team that's not as bad as people think they are. I'm
Nope,
very
they've been
high on,
solid.
and Arthur Smith is definitely going to out coach Brandon Staley. And for that
Mm,
reason, I'm riding with the Falcons.
respectable pick. And yeah, they definitely have the coaching advantage. So we'll see who's gonna win on Sunday, the players or the coaching, really.
Yeah, it's usually more often than not it's the coaching. Do want to rewind
Very
though.
true.
I did forget to mention this. I don't know if you saw this. I didn't see it until today. The Colts fired their offensive coordinator this week. That's also why I'm picking the Patriots. So
Oh yeah, I did see that earlier, and yeah, it's as honestly they probably should have. If you can't utilize Jonathan Taylor and the pass catchers, I'm sorry, yeah, that needed to be done. So
so
hopefully it gets
might be
better.
a reason to pick the Colts based on the fact that they might be doing something different. But
Perhaps, yeah.
you know what? Yeah, it is a good reason to pick the Colts. Belichick's not going to
Oh wow.
Belichick's not going to be able to do. What was I thinking? This is my squad. I'm a loyal man. I'm a man of my word. I pick against the Packers and I pick the Colts. So Belichick can't game plan for an offensive coach that he's never played against or seen on film.
I don't know who's replacing him, so I'm not gonna answer that question. It might be
Neither do
somebody
I,
that
and neither does
Belichick's
Bill.
walked over, but hey, I respect I respect it. I do.
I'm a loyal man. I'm sorry to you, Indy fans. I was strayed, and I am back. I am back. So
Oh
moving forward,
man.
I'm probably going to need to start hitting on the rest of these. So I should be conservative, considering I picked against the Packers, and it's okay. I got the Eagles
Like
tonight.
me last week, man. I love it.
Um, hey, you know what? We didn't do a recap of last week. We'll do that at the end. But Bills at the New York Jets. I'm taking the Bills
Yeah.
with being conservative in mind.
I know because yeah, I'd love to like see the Bills get another loss. I just don't think it's the Jets. They're fine, but
It is a division game.
yeah, yeah. It'll be close, but I think the Bills.
All right, all right. Vikings in Washington.
Kirk Cousins revenge game written all over this one. I just don't think the Redskins have the firepower either.
Who were
The
the
Vikings
Redskins?
defense, the Commanders, my apologies. Um,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I still do that.
it's wow, yeah, I've actually done that in a while. I'm usually pretty good at the Commanders, but yeah, they just they win games if it's like low scoring. I just think the Vikings defense has been better and they will outscore the Commanders.
I
So
don't know, man. I mean, I'm taking the Vikings, but I wouldn't hate to see Taylor Heineke get a nice pair of purple and gold Jordans to add to
it
his
might be
collection.
close. It might be close. I don't know if they're gonna take him down. It'd be great for him though. It would.
Yeah.
Be looking at him a little differently.
Yeah. Well, Panthers in Cincinnati. I'm taking Cincinnati. I think they're due for an explosion after last week's.
Yeah, and part of me was like a little hesitant because of the struggles I saw Monday and not having Jamar Chase, but I also got burned by the Panthers shenanigans last week, and I'm notorious even when the Falcons are rolling, I just am hesitant to pick them. So I'm very hesitant to pick the Panthers with any confidence. Um, yeah, Bengals should win.
I don't know. I'm having second thoughts about that one, but
Yeah, that could be an upset of the day, but
it could be an upset. But I just feel like the Bengals are coming off of a loss like that, and they're not like
they shouldn't lose
it's
games
not a
anymore.
trap game. Like the Browns was kind of a trap game. This is not.
I would agree.
Raiders in Jacksonville.
Such a toss up here. Like, uh, Raiders. Man, it's like I would say Raiders because the Jags don't know how to win, but neither do the Raiders this year. So I'm gonna say Jags, and the Raiders are finally in complete meltdown mode. I don't think the Raiders can afford another loss, especially to the Jaguars, but I think it just comes here. They're fully utilizing Travis Etienne, and they didn't win last week. Seeing him just on the field more is just it helps their offense. It's just that simple, and it takes the ball out of Trevor Lawrence's hands. Like I already said earlier, I think he's all right, but Etienne's been by far the best player on that offense this year. So I'll take
I
the
was
Jags.
I was leaning Raiders, and the more I've thought about it, I just
Talked you into it.
well, not that you also left out the Josh McDaniels aspect of it, and
That's kind of yeah. It was
that's
that
what's
was my
swaying
illusion
me.
to
That's
that
swaying
was
me
my
a little
illusion
bit.
to the don't know how to win games. That's Josh McDaniel. I mean,
If they lose this game, he might be fired. I'm not. I'm not
which
even
would
exaggerating.
honestly they might win the rest of their games. Like
Yeah,
this roster's
yeah.
talented.
Hey, if
He's
they get an interim head coach,
severely
I
holding them
guarantee you,
back.
I'm picking them. it's.
Right, yeah, they'd probably go on a win streak. So
I'll take the
no, I'm
Jaguars.
with you.
I'm very tempted to go different than you here, but I just, yeah, and it's just like I just don't trust McDaniel's to get the job done. Like you look at the rosters, and it's like, oh yeah, Raiders all the way, but that's not who they've been
Yeah,
this year. So I'll move on. Miami is in Chicago. I'm taking Miami. No hesitation there. No second
agreed.
thoughts.
They're gonna roll, and just with some new additions, that
I don't know who.
they're
I
just
don't
gonna
know
keep looking
who's
good.
guarding anybody ever when the
No, and the
Dolphins
Bears
plays.
Bears have committed to the rebuild. Their defense has gotten worse, so this should not be
That's fair.
close, in my opinion.
Got another division matchup here. You know who I'm rolling with. Seahawks are going into Arizona. I'm rolling with the Seahawks. We're on like week 2 of Modern Warfare 2 being out. I think we're due for a Kyler just meltdown.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna take the Cardinals. They've just not been good. They burned me. I'm taking Seattle, and
Yeah.
the fact they'd be sitting at 6-3 after this, going into Arizona and winning, would be a huge deal. And I think it
Yeah.
happens. They've not
It
shown
would.
any reason as to why they can't keep winning.
It would be. Um, It wouldn't surprise me though. Like this is going to be closer, I think, than you make it out to be because it is in
Oh, because it's a
Arizona.
division game. It
Yeah, it's
is.
a division game and it's in Arizona. If it was in Seattle, I would. It just might be a
Mm,
3 touchdown game. But
right,
um,
right.
next one up, I'm sure when they scheduled this game, they thought it was going to be an incredible marquee matchup, but it's actually two terrible NFC teams. The Rams are going into Tampa Bay.
Yeah,
Um,
that's such a tough call.
I hate the Rams so much. I'm going to take the Buccaneers here just off of a sheer way, finding a way to win the game. I think
Yeah.
The Rams are literally a bottom feeder team right now. So um,
Mm.
I'm taking the Bucks.
And I will go the opposite and take the Rams due
I
to the
think that's a
fact that
smart choice.
they just got Brady's number defensively. We saw it, I think it was last year. Yeah. I mean, that recent, it's fresh in my head. And just the way the Buccaneers have been. They weren't even that close to last year's level of play. So there could be some problems for them Sunday. It might be full panic down in Tampa.
Yeah, it's solid. Sunday night football, Titans in Kansas City.
Kansas City all the way. That's my Super Bowl pick. And just the way they play, they should outpace they're gonna outpace Titans. That's just the way it is. They're not gonna be able
Yeah,
to keep
if
up.
there is a recipe, I'm taking the Chiefs, but I will say if there is a recipe to beat Kansas City, it's to run it down their throats.
No, it is the Titans at their absolute best, but their defense is not capable of shutting anybody down,
I would
especially the
agree.
way their corner situation is. And yeah, I think they're going to feast. That's just
Oh,
my opinion
I,
on the Chiefs.
I would agree. Monday Night Football, Baltimore in New Orleans.
Interesting matchup, and it's like it seems like New Orleans should have more wins, but I still don't think they're going to get one. I just the Ravens are good. They just got better with the Roquan Smith trade, and that's really the bottom line. There's the better team, as good as the Saints. Well, they're better than the record shows. Is all I'm going to say. I mean, shutting out the Raiders, I think, is definitely not everything because they're coached by Josh McDaniel, but it's something. Yeah,
I
I
would
mean,
agree.
it's something.
Um,
Um,
however, this is my upset of the week. Um,
oh yeah,
it's
okay.
in New Orleans. Although I say that, and I took multiple other terrible upset picks, but
Upsets, yeah.
those aren't picks. Those are just loyalties.
Fair
Um,
enough. Fair enough.
in New Orleans, they're a really good home team. Andy Dalton is, like you said, the Saints need to have more wins, and the Ravens barely got by the Bucks last week. So
Hmm.
I think the Ravens are a little overinflated in terms of their value, and that's coming from I think that about my own opinion of the Ravens. I think they're worse than I think they are, and
Hmm.
they're a very blitz heavy team. And Dalton is pretty decent against the man coverage. He knows how to check it down, and that's usually the way to go when you got a guy like
Yeah.
Alvin Kamara. That is, I'm a little worried about the receiver depth, but it's an upset pick, so I don't really need to think that hard about it. I'm taking the home team, so I'm going to take the Saints,
Nice. Nice.
and that is
Um,
all we have for
that's
this
it.
week.
That's a wrap.
Um, we'll do a quick recap of last week's picks and where that puts us for the
Yeah.
year before we close out. I was 12-3, set the new high record. Should have been 13-2 if the Bengals didn't suck on Monday night, but it is what it is. I only missed on the Jaguars Colts, which was a travesty. So really, I should have been 14-1. Actually, that's wow.
Hmm.
Um, and then I only missed on the Jaguars, Colts, and Bengals. And then you were actually right behind me at 10-5. You missed on the Jaguars, Panthers, travesty, Raiders. That was a miss. Giants was a close game, and you missed on the Packers too. And then
Figures.
as for the year, that puts me at 66-57 on the year, and you are 63-60.
Hmm. So I got some work to do this week for sure.
Yeah,
Got a chance to make it up, but oh, definitely got some interesting matchups this week. There's a couple ones that should go a certain way, but yeah, there's some wild cards in there.
yeah,
Should be entertaining,
yeah.
should be fun.
Should be noted too. Heading into tonight, I am on a 5 game Thursday night football winning streak, so just
Yeah, and this should, I mean,
should extend it
gonna
here.
shock the world if it's not extended. That's
So
all I'm gonna say.
I believe you're on a 3 or 4 as well, 3 or 4 game on Thursday Night Football as well. So
Yeah, whenever
um,
Broncos lost, that was what pretty much killed my
yeah,
streak.
killed the momentum
Thanks,
right there,
Russ.
man. It's your fault for
It
picking
is my fault.
the
It is.
Broncos, but
I didn't hop off the
it
train
really
early
is
enough.
too bad they're on a bye this week because I feel like I could have talked you into taking them again.
Nah,
But
they already lost. They lost their bye week. They're 0-1 already.
for trading away Bradley Chubb.
Yep.
Um, all right, I think that wraps it up. Be sure, as always, check out our content on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, all the places. Be sure to share the show with your friends. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, like I said, and yeah, we're excited. We'll see you guys Sunday, and go Colts.
Go pack.
Go back too. I guess. I guess I gotta say that as
Oh
a
yeah.
Colton, but
Take care, my man.
yeah, you too, and we'll catch you guys next time.